one just says she doesn't care about empty coffers and whose fault it is. She just wants solutions. But is this evidence of fiscal mismanagement over years, I'm tempted to say decades, in your view?
It is public finance mismanagement. I do agree with Wanja that the focus is too much on whose fault it is rather than what are the solutions that this administration is coming up with. Public opinion matters, and it matters greatly. So what we see with this administration is lavish expenditures, from meetings to prayer breakfasts to just prayer outings to cars, and it's hurting the Kenyan people because the high cost of living. What the administration should be focusing on is frugality. If we saw them trying as much as possible to save rather than spend, we are seeing this issue, which has been happening in the counties for a number of years, as you say, decades. And devolution showed us just how quickly money goes within the counties, and a lot of it goes towards salaries. And it's not just because of mismanagement or the high number of public service. Public service government is large. Even when you look at the US, larger countries, they have large governments, they have large number of employees. The issue that we have is corruption. When you look at a typical county, public participation, budget allocation, when you see how much actually went towards, say, a facility, when we talk about health, and how much was spent, and when you look at the product of what was produced, it does not match the money that was spent. So we do have an issue when it comes to the management of resources in government generally. And I do think that there's a lack of continuation where we haven't seen a push from the executive. You know, President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration talked about facing corruption a lot, and facing corruption and corruption being a challenge for our country. But then when you go to the grassroots and see what are the actual implications of his goodwill to support the fight against corruption, you can see it. We see in government building signs that say corruption is banned here, corruption is not allowed. You will see the signs.
Corruption-free zone.
Corruption-free zones everywhere, including where trucks pass through when they are, you know, transporting commodities. In every aspect of our country, we see the signs. But whether it comes to acting on those, we do not see. And I think what we need to push for is accountability. Not just the accountability within. The Auditor General releases reports every single year. What do we do with those reports? And even the average citizen themselves, they do not know the role that they can play to hold government accountable at the county level itself. And so that's where we see a lot of gaps, because the Constitution gives a lot of power to people to hold politicians accountable, but the systems are non-existent. The information is limited. So it makes it a lot easier for this rampant corruption that we're seeing also at the grassroots.